trying to deal with this in the sort of most earnest way possible. But here is J.D. Vance, who literally the day before was on a Sunday talk show claiming it doesn't matter if we're talking about curry or eating fried chicken. Who cares what Kamala Harris eats in the White House? I mean,
just another food he came up with right off the cuff.
Randomly.
Who knows? Well, why? Maybe he loves fried chicken. But also just a day after he had said, look, if we need to make up stories so that the press focuses their ire on non-white immigrants who are here legally.
That's what he said on the Sunday shows, the Sunday Trump was golfing.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. A day before he said this, it is, the issue is really not the hypocrisy. The issue is that this guy is trying to run away for the implications of the things he actually says. And the best way, or really the only way these guys know how to function, is the best defense is a good offense. So they're trying to change the topic to this.
Was in Cincinnati, Ohio, 100 miles away from where this went down. But I do think that we should take this opportunity to call for a reduction in the ridiculous and inflammatory political rhetoric coming from too many corners of our politics.
Oh my God.
Look, we can disagree with one another, we can debate one another, but we cannot tell the American people that one candidate is a fascist, and if he's elected, it is going to be the end of American democracy. We cannot, as a person affiliated with Kamala Harris has said, that we need to, quote, eliminate Donald J. Trump. A New York Democratic congressman has said that in the past. If you tell the American people that this person is the end of democracy, if you tell the American people that this person needs to be eliminated, most of them, thank God, are going to ignore you, but some crazy person is going to take matters into their own hands and actually listen to the crazy rhetoric that you're putting out there. And I know it's popular on a lot of corners.
Now, pause it for 1 second. A couple of things I want to say to this. One, I think there is an argument that stochastic, is that what it is?
Yep, stochastic.
Stochastic terrorism is real. I mean, we have seen examples of this, and it's nice that Vance is coming out and speaking to those specific instances where we have seen people who are fans and followers of right-wing YouTubers like Ben Shapiro, I don't know, YouTube, whatever, show hosts like Ben Shapiro and Tim Pool, who have gone on to commit terrorist attacks, and that Vance, at the very least, seems to believe what I think a lot of people feel, which is that when Tim Pool, talks about a civil war over and over again and this type of stuff, and then we see people go out and act upon this and do violent things, that there is a connection. That seems to be what Vance is saying. And I have to say, I mean,
we can agree on that.
We can agree on that front. When somebody goes in and attacks, was it Sikhs up in Canada, and literally repeats the same rhetoric that Ben Shapiro did, I think there's an argument there. But there is no evidence that the attempted would-be assassination of Trump that took place on Sunday and the attempted assassination from a couple of months ago had anything to do with that. But we can
More American
see,
gun culture.
Yeah, but we can see, however, the implications of. Well, let's go back to this here, that first line that Vance said, because I think that's really telling. the idea of political violence, violent rhetoric, and what it can lead to. Because, or any type of rhetoric where you're basically, making stuff up. Look, who wants to be living around your neighbors if they're stealing your cats and your dogs and eating them? That's not neighborly. It's a little bit scary. Go ahead.
That one candidate is a fascist, and if he's elected, it is going to be the end
let's
of
go to the
American
beginning.
democracy. We cannot, as a person affiliated with Kamala Harris.
Can we go back to the beginning of this clip?
We have I know the hypocrisy stuff is low-hanging fruit, but Trump called Kamala Harris a, quote, radical left Marxist communist fascist 3 days ago, and then on September 5th called her a communist fascist. So if fascist is beyond the pale, he should probably give a call to the guy at the top of the ticket.
Opportunity to call for a reduction in the ridiculous and inflammatory political rhetoric coming from too many corners of our politics.
Okay, so let's just say ridiculous and inflammatory rhetoric. This guy went on television the day before he said this and admitted that he had made up the story of cats and dogs, or at the very least, supposedly heard it from one of his constituents. He can't name that person, and did absolutely no fact checking, and memed it enough and presented it enough on Twitter that his presidential candidate said it in front of 75 million Americans. And now, days later, this is where we're at in Springfield, Ohio.
I'll make that very, very clear. None of these had any validity at all.
That's Governor Mike DeWine just hours ago talking about the continued threat of violence in the city of Springfield. 33 threats, all determined to be a hoax. He announced that highway patrol troopers will be sweeping school buildings every morning and stay at those schools throughout the day.
Now, we know threats have been made to public schools, hospitals, and city services, and all since the presidential debate last Tuesday, where former President Trump spoke about immigration in Springfield. The first threat happened on Thursday, September 12th, when City Hall, BMV locations, and 2 schools were threatened. In the next 3 days, a middle school and 2 elementary schools received threats. 2 hospitals and local universities all receiving threats as well. Now, this is the 5th day in a row that businesses and public offices have received threats in the Springfield area. So thank you for joining us for 10 TV.
Yeah, thank you, J.D. Vance. Thank you, Donald Trump.
Yeah. After all that blood libel that they were putting out there about Haitian immigrants.
For coming to the rescue of the citizens of Springfield.
And it's just like, J.D. Vance, wasn't your whole thing personal responsibility, and how the people of Appalachia, it's just a cultural virus that they are impoverished in this way. They just need to help themselves and own up to things and
stop
work
blaming
hard.
others like capitalism.
Yeah. How about you stop blaming others? Because if you can't own up to your own inflammatory rhetoric, where we saw the results of it within days, bomb threats, stochastic terrorism directed towards the people of your own state.
Citizens you represent.
You're supposed to be a public servant instead of being essentially a venture capitalist vampire. But that's exactly who he is and who the Republican Party represents. And I want to thank the Trump campaign for continuing to put out the guy with the most embarrassing unfavorables that a vice presidential candidate has ever had from the get-go, and making him the point person for the entire campaign, sending him out on every Sunday talk show while Trump golfs. I'm in favor of this strategy. Trump can keep doing Twitter spaces where he hawks crypto, and send out J.D. Vance in the most visible places on television in this campaign. Keep it up, buddies. You guys are doing a great job.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.